Hey tankers, and welcome back to World of Tanks with pr154. Today having a look at the Green Light event that's in World of Tanks. An event which is ostensibly a loot box event, all sort of built around the Emerald box. There's a couple of new vehicles that they've released, quite an iconic one actually as well for World of Tanks on PC, the first Japanese premium tank destroyer, but more on that later. Now we're a little bit slow out the gate on this one. Unfortunately, it's been a hell of a week, and I don't create content for my day job, not even close. In my day job, I'm a construction estimator, and my God, we are busy at the moment. But these acquired skills are something that I do want to bring to the table here and help you form a bit of a value assessment about what is in these boxes. Now, being Australian, I'm going to be generally speaking in terms of Australian dollars for this, but I think that the important thing to keep in mind is probably the relative value of the box contents versus what you're paying for the boxes. But wherever possible, I'll try to reduce the contents of the boxes down to a subjective gold value as well, because gold is kind of a universal currency for World of Tanks players internationally. So if you're Australian and you subscribe to Australian dollars, you can use that. If you're from anywhere else, then of course the gold values are there to help you make that value assessment. Now the boxes ship in packs of 5, 15, 50 and 75. As you get more boxes in a bundle, you're going to get a progressively higher discount. So right at the bottom end, if you buy the boxes 5 at a time, that's effectively costing you $1.36 Australian per box. As you get towards the 50 and 75s, you're paying $1.22 Australian per box. Interestingly, not a bigger discount for going to the 75 boxes as opposed to the 50. Of course, if you buy 15, that's a bit of a halfway house there at $1.29 Australian per box. Now, one of the foundational principles behind international legislation around loot box mechanics is based on the fact that it's not a traditional exchange of currency for prescribed goods and services. Instead, you're getting some value back. You don't know exactly what it's going to constitute that value. Now, it could be disproportionately high for the value of the box, but legislation typically dictates that what you get out of every box must be at least equal to in value or better in value than the dollar value per box. So when we look at that, every box comes with a ×5 experience battle mission. Now we've valued that at 110 gold. This has been done somewhat subjectively, and we have had to dig into the archives a little bit. Now we see that these ×5 experience battle missions were previously saleable for €10 for a bundle of 25. Of course, we don't use euros here. We use Australian dollars, which that's roughly 16 Australian dollars. We've then taken that value, divided it by 25. We've looked at any amount of gold and come up with a value of 88 cents per battle mission Australian, which works out to be a gold value of 110 gold. The lowest value item that you can arguably get out of the box then is another battle mission valued in the same way. What we've done with this one, we've taken a bit of a hard-nosed look at what the value of credits are. And of course, in game, credits are valued at 1 gold per 400 credits. I think this is horribly overvalued. I feel that 1 gold per 1,000 credits is more close to the mark. So with one of the guaranteed drops available from the box being 100,000 credits, which if we value at 1 gold per 1,000 credits, well then 100,000 credits is going to be worth 100 gold. Convertible from any amount of gold is going to be worth 75 cents Australian. So the minimum possible value that we can argue will come out of a box is $1.63 Australian. And of course, the most we'll pay for an individual box is $1.36 Australian. So I guess it passes the initial sniff test as to, well, is there value in what you're getting out of the box? The hard-nosed financial assessment kind of says you do, but of course value is subjective from player to player, and different players will feel differently about different things that come out of the boxes. And in the subsequent assessment, we've attempted to capture the mood of the community in respect to certain box content. So let's discuss the guaranteed stuff. We've already talked about the ×5 experience battle missions. The other 100% drop chances comprise a day of premium time, which is valued at 250 gold. You could also get 3 days premium time, which is valued in the in-game shop at 650 gold. The personal reserves, these are all in-game shop values, whether you buy them in 1s or 3s. The one that's a little bit hinky is the 50% credit bonus personal reserve, which is generally only available via a cash purchase. It might be bundled in with other personal reserves. I've had a bit of a look at what these bundles are worth and sort of taking off the known values via any amount of gold conversion, and it seems to be worth roughly the same in terms of gold value. It's just the catch is you're generally only able to get plus 50% credit personal reserves through cash purchases. ×5 experience battle missions we've talked about, 100,000 credit 250,000 credit or 500,000 credit bundles. If you use the in-game value, that'll be at a ratio of 1 gold per 400. But again, I think the conventional wisdom is that is way overvaluing credit. 1 gold to 1,000 credit is probably a fairer assessment, which accordingly, each of those coin bundles would be worth 100 gold, 200 gold, or 500 gold. So I'm not sure what the chance of one or the other of these items dropping within that 100% chance. It's just that there is a 100% chance that you'll get at least one of them, and their subjective gold value will vary between 100 and 650 gold. Now, if you're lucky to the tune of 25%, you'll get another drop landing, and this is specifically in respect of crews and training. So let's start with the easy one. The Universal Training Manual grants 250,000 experience points to each crew member. It is independent of nation. Now, how have we valued this? Well, we know that 250,000 experience points for the standard training manual will set you back 2 million credits. 2 million credits, well, we're going to subjectively value at 2,000 gold at our 1 gold per 1,000 exchange rate instead of the 1 gold per 400 overvalued credit exchange rate in game. So that would value each of these universal training manuals at 2,000 gold. The personal training manual. Now, there isn't a linear relationship with this. However, with some of the original compensation mechanic they were talking about with Crew 2.0, they were going to convert all personal manuals to universal manuals. So that would imply that they are valued the same by Wargaming. So again, we'll put a 2,000 gold sticker price on them. The single training manual, which provides 20,000 experience points for every crew member, we've subjectively valued at 160 gold. And that's really just a pro rata in terms of gold to experience points conversion benchmarked by the Universal Training Manual. So you get 250,000 experience points for 2,000 gold. Means with that exchange rate, that's 160 gold will get you 20,000 experience points. That's how we've valued the training manual anyway. The zero skill Brothers in Arms crew member. This one was a bit interesting. We've had a look at, well, what is the experience points requirement? So you can drop 200 gold to get them to 100% basic training straight out the gate. Brothers in Arms is their first skill. So it takes 210,000 experience points to get your first skill on top of 100% major qualification. So we've, using the same pro rata value, we would value 210,000 experience points subjectively at 1,680 gold. So that's an effective gold value for a zero skill Brothers in Arms crew member of 695 gold. Now, this is potentially a slight undervaluing, given that the Brothers in Arms is actually a zero skill crew. So your next skill, well, you're only having to grind out 210,000 experience points for that. But I didn't exactly have a mechanic to value that, so that's what we're doing today. There is also a 10% drop chance of a 2D style. There are 10 2D styles available, which we've shown down the bottom there. We've got Autumn Wind, Black Friday, Celadon, Huyi's Honor, Jurassic Period, Nightfall, Oakwood, Red Desert, Tango, Touchdown. I've actually valued this at 0, and look, I'm generally not a fan of non-historical 2D styles. And look, even if you love 2D styles, here's the thing. They are a dime a dozen. There's nothing special about them. They feel like they're coming out in their hundreds every year. And it's just, there's another 2D style. I personally don't feel that there's anything special about them. And I really don't feel that I'm alone in having hundreds of the damn things just accumulating, and I'm unable to exchange them for credits or any other in-game currency. So they're useless. Really, they're useless. So I valued each of them at 0. So I'll be interested to see what happens out the back end. Now, if you wanted to buy a 2D style for your vehicles and you wanted to do it from the garage interface, that would be typically setting you back maybe 450 to 650 gold if the customizations aren't on sale. I could value it that way. It's just, I've got so many of these non-historical camos that are just accumulating and I can't do anything with them, so I really can't say that I need any more. So there's a subjective value of 0 attached to that. And now the main event. This is the reason why everyone turns out to buy loot boxes, rightly or wrongly. It's the tanks. And this time there's a couple of new releases. There's of course the Type 5 Kari, that is the premium tier 8 Japanese tank destroyer, brand new, and will be a fantastic crew trainer for those who wish to go down the Japanese tank destroyer line when it is eventually released. There's also Forest Spirit, which is essentially a 3-dimensional reskin of Su-130PM. More on that. There's Emil 1951, Gonzalo, Old Proto AMX30, Kirovets 1, Chieftain T95, 59 Pad pattern, Turtle Mark 1. Some of these vehicles more or less desirable than others. I don't believe there's a particular weighting in terms of one tank or the other in terms of what its drop frequency is going to be. All we know is that you have a 2% chance per box of coming away with one of these vehicles. Now this presents a little bit of a problem. If you're getting motivated by box sales because you want to come away with a Type 5 car E, think about it. You've got 11% chance within a 2% chance of coming away with that tank. Now, your chances will improve if you already happen to own a lot of the vehicles that are on offer. If you already own Chieftain T95 because you assembled it in Clan Wars, 59 pattern, Turtle Mark 1, if you picked up Kirovets 1 in the Trading Caravan event when it initially came out, your chances of picking up Type 5 Car E will start to improve on a basis of a process of elimination. Here's where I have the problem, however, with Forest Spirit. Now, if you already have SU-130 PM, you need Forest Spirit about as much as you need a hole in the head. Unless, of course, you really, really like the 3D style, in which case you do you. But I have issues with this, where they're introducing additional tanks to the pool that have a functional redundancy with other tanks that already exist in the game and might already exist within a player's garage. Other than the aesthetics, what does Forest Spirit do that SU-130 PM doesn't? There's really no need for it to be in this pool, buggering up your chances of getting the Type 5 Car E. I feel that's a little bit cheeky. As amazing looking as the skin is, I feel that there are much more constructive ways and less cheeky ways to release these sorts of things. A 3D customization delivered as a vehicle should be a choice, right? It shouldn't be something that's thrust upon you. It's kind of like having the Rheinmetall Scorpion in the list when you've already got Scorpion G. Like, you don't need another one that does exactly the same thing. Yeah, I've got issues with that one. I thought that was really cheeky. Seriously hope they reconsider that approach in future events. But in any case, we've attempted to apply gold values to each of these vehicles, and then for the Australians in the audience, we have applied Australian dollar values to them as well. Now, full disclosure, the values that I've used here are from Tanks GG. They might not necessarily be 100% correct. For example, Gonzalo Tanks GG is valued at 12,000 gold. That seems like a bloody lot, actually, for what it is and by comparison to other heavy tanks in the game. For example, Tanks GG also values Kirovets 1 at 9,600 gold, which, I mean, Kirovets 1 is arguably a much more capable tank than Gonzalo. So make of that what you will, folks. Now, I guess a bit of a safety net with this event is that if you open 49 boxes and you haven't yet acquired a vehicle, you'll be guaranteed one of these vehicles on your 50th. So the 2% drop chance will ultimately hold true. Now, let's assume that you have all these vehicles and you still have boxes to open, then what's going to happen is the vehicles will still continue to randomly drop. And if you haven't had a random drop within 50 box openings, then on the 50th, you'll be guaranteed to get a compensatory gold value of one of the vehicles that are on this list. So every 50 box openings, as a maximum, you'll get a big gold dump from vehicle compensation as well, which could be more or could be less than the values that they've assigned here. They haven't actually told us what compensation values are going to be adopted here. I've just pulled these values off of Tanks GG. So if you're still here after all that, then congratulations. But yeah, I have tried to put some bookmarks in here to try to help you speed that process along if you already knew everything there was to know about the valuations. So we're going to get straight into the box openings now. 70 boxes, these have been gifted to me by Wargaming, so I haven't paid for them. Suppose the intent being, we'll open the boxes, we'll see what's in the boxes, we'll do a bit of a value assessment, and I guess with the 4 days remaining in this event, you can maybe form a view as to whether you think these boxes will be worth it for you or not. So let us get started. 70 emerald boxes, so maximum 50 boxes before a guaranteed reward. Now we might be able to get a drop earlier than that, in which case the counter should reset. So let's get this underway. We're opening our first box, and okay, so that's the standard reward that's going to come out. 3 free experience and crew experience personal reserves. Let's keep going with number 2. Ooh, okay, so maybe let's not show the animation because this video is going to be long enough. Okay, so that's again combat experience points, personal reserves. Let's keep going. Okay, universal manual, so that has a 25% drop chance within this event. Looks like we got Celadon 2D style. Yeah, one of the few 2D styles that have birds. So, you know, I've got birds as part of the branding. Let's not be too critical about that. But I did value the 2D styles at 0 because I have just a disgusting number of them built up in the garage there. So, guaranteed drop chances here. Pretty well for the most part for our first 10 boxes. Granted, there was a 2D style, another 2D style that has a 10% drop chance. Well, picking up the 2D styles and a 25% drop chance on the training booklets. That one is for the USSR. Of course, I do believe that the nations will vary for yourselves. Okay, coming in onto box number 20, and another training booklet here. Of course, we're oh, here we go, loading content. Hey, there we go, ×5 missions. All right, continuing on. Sometimes when you see it loading content like that, you're not quite sure what it's up to, whether it's drawing tanks, drawing missions, but in this case, it looks like it's just taking a little bit of extra time to make up its mind. Certainly very crew-centric, this one. I do remember with the Golden Armory event, they had a lot of directives, and some of the directives were actually quite handy, improved ventilation being among them, but also you had improved ventilation. The other one was firefighting. Now, I had this disgusting amount of firefighting directives, which I don't believe I had any tanks that are exceptionally flammable. I think that was pretty well a wasted bit of kit there, and it was very difficult to justify putting a hell of a lot of value on come at the end of that event. But anyway, you get that. Certainly not shy of these combat XP personal reserves. So I don't know. Value is subjective, as we say, and if I've already got 1,000 hours of that sort of stuff built up and waiting, is there inherent value to that, or are we just sort of packaging it out with fluff? Red Desert 2D style out of that one. Let's continue. We are now approaching 40 boxes that have been opened. And again, the ×5 missions, it appears to be. I actually quite like them, the ×5 missions, except now I've been a little bit more conscious of them, and I don't play the same tank twice in a day because I'm trying not to use the ×5 missions unless I'm really on a grind. I've now started to actually accumulate them, and accumulate them quite quickly, so maybe I need to review that process somewhat. Alright, so 3 more boxes before a guaranteed reward will land on us. We haven't come away with any of the vehicles yet, so this is it, ladies and gentlemen. What's in the box? And Type 5 Car E is probably one of the more desirable ones, at least mainly on the fact that I don't actually have a crew trainer for a Japanese tank destroyer. In fact, no one has, unless they have this tank. So that was very well received. Now we have another 20 to go. If we do manage to get another premium tier 8 tank, we will be ahead of the curve. We'll be beating chance. I'm certainly not expecting another tank to drop. In fact, it's pure mathematics here. There's 17 more boxes available, but 47 before the maximum, before the guaranteed reward. So let us continue. Another 15 to go. 14. You don't want to listen to me count. Okay. So, Forest Spirit. This is the SU-130 PM reskin. Will go nicely next to my SU-130 PM. Look, it's a cool style. I'll probably play it instead of the SU-130 PM, but it kind of makes a good tank kind of redundant now, unfortunately, and that's probably why I object to, as I sort of stated earlier, having these sorts of tanks in in loot boxes or released in this sort of event. Like if I really wanted the 3D style, I would have gone out and spent, you know, the 3,500 gold or whatever it is to buy the 3D skill to 3D skin to bolt it on. I probably wouldn't necessarily have wanted it thrust upon me in lieu of another premium tank, but yeah. How loudly can I complain when I didn't actually pay for it in the first place? Let's be real about that. 9 more boxes to go. 6, 5. Obviously managing expectations here. I'm not going to come away with another tank. I've already beaten the trend by a significant amount just by having 2 tanks out of 70 boxes. Let's be completely honest about that. Don't take this as an indicator for what to expect. And our final box, it is another free XP, crew XP, personal reserve. So that's it for the boxes here. Let's do a bit of a loot analysis and see what we've come away with. So in the outtake, I've been converting a couple of glasses of Shiraz into this massive table here that looks at all the drops that we picked up and their relative values and sort of tabulated them. And on review, that looks a little bit difficult to read. So moving along, we've actually summarized it. So in total, we've come away with about 45,000 gold worth of stuff. In addition, and because you'd be putting your money forward and I've just been given 70 boxes by Wargaming. Now, because they gave me the boxes and I didn't buy the boxes, I also didn't acquire the 70 times 5 battle missions that would come with purchased boxes. So that's pumped the value up a little bit further because we valued those times 5 XP battle missions at 110 pop. So that's an extra 7,700 gold. So 52,760 gold was what we valued that haul at, which if we convert that into Australian dollars via the any amount of gold rate, that's $287.01. Now the equivalent cost of those boxes in Australian dollars is $87.38. So the box purchases represents an effective discount of 70% against if you were to use gold to buy these things individually. And bear in mind, we've devalued the absolute crap out of a few things compared to what you can actually buy them for in store. I mean, the 2D styles, for example, we've valued them at nothing. The credits we've valued at 1 gold per 1,000 credits, not 1 gold per 400 as it is in game. And anything that has a parallel value that has been linked back to credits has also effectively been overvalued quite significantly, such as the training books. So do bear that in mind. The effective discount is going to be a lot higher than 70%, but as we keep coming back to, value is somewhat subjective. Now, to have a look at the drop rates there, we expected 100% of the items to come through of the guaranteed drop rate. Funnily enough, 100% of them did actually come through. Funny how that works. Crews and books, we're expecting them to make up 25% of the drops. We came in a little bit short on that, 22.9% of the drops in total. Styles were bang on. Their 10% drop rate, we ended up with 7 2D styles coming in out of 70 drops, so we were bang on then. And we did get lucky with the vehicles with a 2.9% drop rate instead of the expected 2%. So we did buck the trend somewhat. Call that CC RNG if you need to, but that's kind of how it is. That's how the drop rates have aligned with our receipts. Now, it's probably important that we have a look at the value breakdown as well. So in terms of our total valuation here, 39% of the total value is represented by the tanks, specifically Forest Spirit there for 9,800 gold and Type 5 Kari for 10,550 gold. The personal reserves were the next to have a significant value to them. They represented 20% of the total value footprint. So if you've got hundreds of reserves just sitting around that you haven't used, well, maybe that 20% valuation is going to be a little bit subjective for you. So do bear that in mind. Books have represented 19% of our total value. Again, probably a little bit subjective because we've made an assessment in comparison to credits, which we've undervalued the credits as the game sees it. But I think there's a universal acknowledgement that you'll always be looking to improve your crews, and books are certainly a lot more efficient to doing that than grinding. The times 5 missions, that's in spite of effectively having 79 of them. as a result of an assumed purchase of 70 boxes plus picking up 9 in the drops. That represented 16% of the total footprint. Premium time representing 5% of the value footprint. Bearing in mind, we came up with 12 days of premium time, and I've actually adjusted that figure a little bit because the value of premium time actually reduces the more of it you buy, because you can actually get it in larger bundles. So in this case, we've looked at the 7-day bundle plus the 3-day bundle plus 2 1-day bundles, and that's come away with 2,400 gold as how we've assessed it here. So 5% of the total cost footprint there in terms of premium time. Credits making up 2% of the value footprint. Again, we've undervalued credits, but that's where they're sitting. And 2D styles, we've valued at nothing. But if you wanted to buy those 2D styles in game, that would either be costing you gold or you'd be making an online store purchase with something else. So there's almost always otherwise a value attached to that. It's just, as I say, I've got hundreds of 2D styles sitting in my garage that I can't sell, that I can't convert to another useful currency. So I do hope that that will be revisited at some point in the future. Anyway, that is the Green Light Event Emerald Boxes assessment here at World of Tanks with pr154. A lot to unpack here, but hopefully from this information you're going to be able to form a view as to whether the boxes are worthwhile for you. Again, we did buck a few trends there, particularly in terms of the tank drops. I think the most important thing for you to take away is to see, well, what footprint of the value here actually represents value to you, because having too much of something will inherently devalue it. What's the point of having 2 years of premium time, for example, if you're not going to use it and play something else in a year's time? Same with personal reserves. If you've got thousands of hours of personal reserves, well, they don't really have value if you are accruing them at a rate that exceeds your ability to utilize them. So these are things that need to be borne in mind when you make a value assessment, and just don't put the blinders on looking for the tanks, because that's how you can lose a lot of money fast. Do remember, these vehicles do come out for sale in generally 6 to 9 months time after they are released in a loot box sort of arrangement. So maybe choose patience over mortgaging the house. Anyway, that's it from me, tankers. If you've got any questions about this, please leave them in the comments below, or you can contact me directly via direct message on Discord if any of this is not making sense to you, and I'm happy to talk through it. There are some significant potential financial decisions to be made here. So in the meantime, happy tanking, buy responsibly, and take care out there.